I'm blood. I broke this window. I did it.
Too bad.
What?
Yeah.
Take me to the hospital. Fuck y'all.
Too bad.
I'm going straight to the hospital and y'all do shit. Ha ha. Yeah, now you want to act tough? That's why I'm gonna sue y'all 52 priests of that. And that's why all your cops gonna look at you like y'all dumbasses, cause they all know me and I didn't do nothing. How about that? How about that? Yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch. When you get off for work, come suck my.
This charming man you've just seen, screaming from a police van, goes by the name Jose Gonzalez. At the time this video was filmed on February the 25th of 2017, Jose was a 25-year-old Bronx resident who, according to law enforcement, is a member of the Blood Gang's Bounty Hunter set, where he obtained the nickname Breezy Blood. In this incident, he was being arrested under the suspicion of robbery. Up until this point, he had accumulated over 30 arrests, many of those resulting in Jose Gonzalez being sent to the psych ward. His last arrest prior to this incident occurred in June of 2016, when he was collared for assaulting someone. He would be released by a judge in that case. Gonzalez was living at 2388 Creston Avenue in the Bronx, a building which opened for new residents in 2015. According to Volunteers of America, Greater New York, an organization that helps vulnerable community members with housing, a person's eligibility to obtain residence at 2388 Creston Avenue are as follows. Chronically homeless single adults who would benefit from the safe and supportive environment of the residence. Chronically homeless families are those at serious risk of becoming homeless that would benefit from the safe and supportive environment. Veterans with HUD, VASH vouchers, and families that meet income eligibility requirements and do not require supportive services. With Jose Gonzalez's lengthy arrest record, his extreme behavior displayed after his arrest on February the 25th, 2017, and the fact that he was awaiting trial for his 2016 assault, prosecutors would ask a judge to hold Gonzalez in custody on a $5,000 bail. However, the judge would deny the prosecutor's request, and Jose Gonzalez would head back into the New York City streets.
Red is dead. Blood the fuck up. Out here. Barry Hunter World. Full line. Deuce to the full. You heard? So if you want to get violated, what's poppin'? I'm here and I'm gonna take you. Ride everybody do good in school? Ride star, aka Cocktail.
The video you just saw was filmed and uploaded to Jose Gonzalez's Instagram account on Thursday, March 16th, 2017. According to Gonzalez's brother Andrew Mendez, Gonzalez had just been beaten up by Crip gang members in his Bronx neighborhood. After taking public transportation, he would find himself a few miles from his home on Creston Avenue, where he would commit his most heinous act yet. It's approaching 7 p.m. on Thursday, March 16th, 2017, and 44-year-old FDNY EMT worker Yadira Arroyo is working an overtime shift out of FDNY Emergency Medical Service Station 3 in the Castle Hill section of the Bronx. Yadira Arroyo was employed for 14 years as an EMT worker for the FDNY. She was one of over 4,000 FDNY EMT employees who are referred to as New York's best. Arroyo, a Bronx native and mother of 5 sons, was accompanied by her partner Monique Williams that day when they would receive a call about a pregnant woman in need of medical assistance. They make their way to respond and come to a halt at White Plains Road and Watson Avenue. The pair had been flagged down by an onlooker who said that someone was riding on the back of their ambulance. Yadira Arroyo and Monique Williams jump out to see what the situation was. In the rear of the ambulance, they would spot Jose Gonzalez, who in his usual exploits had just robbed a youth and took his backpack while posing as a police officer. They would exchange words, when all of a sudden, Jose Gonzalez bolts away from Yadira and Monique and heads for the driver's side of the ambulance. Yadira and Monique would both fight to free Gonzalez from the vehicle, but were unable to do so. Jose Gonzalez puts the ambulance in reverse, which results in Yadira Arroyo becoming pinned under the ambulance and being dragged into an intersection. Jose Gonzalez would speed off heading east on Watson Avenue before crashing into multiple parked cars and coming to a stop. He would jump out and make a run for it. Luckily, an MTA officer on patrol had spotted the situation and quickly apprehended Gonzalez. 44-year-old FDNY EMT veteran Yadira Arroyo would be rushed to Jacoby Medical Center, but would soon be pronounced dead from her injuries. The mother of 5, who was working overtime, serving her community as one of New York's best, had lost her life because a mentally ill violent criminal was free and allowed to roam the streets, wreaking havoc on its citizenry. Jose Gonzalez would be taken to the precinct for questioning. Upon leaving in custody that night, the city would get a glimpse of the man responsible for the senseless murder. He would be greeted by the jeers of Yadira Arroyo's fellow FDNY employees and other supporters. Gonzalez would be arraigned the following afternoon in a Bronx criminal court. He would be charged with murder, manslaughter, and robbery, and this time would remain in custody. Jose Gonzalez would then make his way to Bellevue Hospital for psychiatric evaluation. In the days following, we would learn more about Gonzalez's exploits and his mental condition, which was rapidly deteriorating in the years preceding the events on March 16, 2017. According to his brother Andrew Mendez, Jose Gonzalez has stopped taking his medication in recent months, and the initial cause of his mental deterioration seemed to be rooted in an injury he suffered in a bad car accident, which occurred a couple of years prior. A survey of Jose's Instagram account seemed to solidify the strange behavior that Gonzalez had been exhibiting. Court documents would also state that Gonzalez had confessed to smoking 2 blunts laced with PCP and taking the antipsychotic drug Seroquel before the incident on March 16, 2017. In an article put out by the New York Times on March 17, 2017, some more interesting facts would come to light. It turned out that FDNY EMT worker Yadira Arroyo had not only been a Bronx resident, but also a resident of the same Crescent Avenue block where Jose Gonzalez was living. Furthermore, neighborhood residents stated that they knew both Gonzalez and Arroyo, and even talked about them having contact with each other over the years. Arroyo was passionate about emergency medical work and often spread the gospel around her Bronx neighborhood about how important it was to be there to assist those in need throughout the Bronx and the larger New York City area. In this photo here, you see a woman with a sign, which alludes to the idea that Arroyo had helped Gonzalez in the past. However, this has not been corroborated by any news source. On Tuesday, April 3, 2018, Jose Gonzalez would appear in court, where court-appointed doctors would claim that Jose Gonzalez was mentally unfit to stand trial. On December 5, 2018, a court-appointed psychologist and psychiatrist would appear once more before a court and give an updated statement on Jose Gonzalez's mental condition. At that point, Jose was on Rikers Island, where he was said to be undergoing rigorous testing. According to the court-appointed doctors, Jose Gonzalez was still deemed mentally unfit to stand trial. This, of course, would infuriate family members and FDNY EMT union officials. Yadira Arroyo's aunt, Alito Acevedo Hernandez, would state, "I feel that this is just a game. He's using it for protection. But my question to him is, who protected Yadi from him? You know? Who protected Yadi from him? So we don't believe it. We don't buy it." Prosecutors would be given the chance to dispute these findings by the court-appointed doctors, And on January 17th of 2019, they would do just that. Here you see Gonzalez in court that day, wearing a kufi and donning a long beard. He's also in possession of a book and what appears to be a prayer blanket. While it may not be pertinent to the case, we can see that Gonzalez may have recently converted to Islam and had been taken under the wing of the Muslim Brotherhood. On that day in court, the prosecutors hired expert forensic psychiatrist Dr. Nicole Charter, who would claim that Jose Gonzalez was faking his psychosis. She would state, "I believe that Mr. Gonzalez feigned psychotic symptoms to show he lacks the capacity to stand trial. I find that even though he endures a lot of psychotic illusions, he has a rational understanding. There is no reason to believe he doesn't have the capacity to stand trial." Psychiatrist Nicole Charter would also state that Gonzalez's prior schizophrenia diagnosis should be reconsidered, only when he has been clean from drugs for a long time. While listening to this story, you may be asking yourself what exactly is going on in New York City, why repeat offenders have continually been released out into the streets after violent assaults. Is it the pitfalls of bail reform, lack of community outreach, or perhaps the city's repeated failure in getting criminal offenders the help they need, whether it be mental health, housing, or a number of other factors? You may be surprised to hear this, but in 2020, during the height of the pandemic, while awaiting trial on Rikers Island, Jose Gonzalez was almost released again. New York Post, March 31st, 2020. The violent inmates that de Blasio administration wanted freed amid the coronavirus crisis included the man accused of killing Bronx FDNY EMT Yadira Arroyo and the two men accused of taking part in a Queens robbery that led to the friendly fire death of NYPD Detective Brian Simonson, law enforcement sources and officials said. The high-profile inmates were removed from the list after their names were rejected by both the Bronx and Queens district attorneys, sources said. Well, there you have it, folks. It's abundantly clear that if no one's paying attention, at any given moment, a heinous criminal can end up back on the streets of New York City. I can only imagine the outrage Yadira's family and co-workers must have felt upon hearing this news. On March 3rd of 2022, almost 5 years since the death of Yadira Arroyo, Gonzalez would appear in court once more and go on an unhinged tirade. "Right now, my heart and my soul are losing because of a conspiracy. The prosecutor keeps doing devil worshipping. This guy wants to play with people's lives. Hurry up and take me to trial, bro. I apologize for all this propaganda and all this trash that happened. I was hallucinating and did not understand what was going on. I'm trying to ask for forgiveness. I mistakenly ran over her by accident." He would further go on to claim that Monique Williams, Yadira Arroyo's partner, was also involved in a conspiracy against him when he stated, "One of her so-called partners was an accomplice to her. She set me up. She blackmailed me." Later on in 2022, after numerous hearings on the status of Jose Gonzalez's mental capacity, the family members and co-workers of Yadira Arroyo, who have anxiously waited years for answers, would still not get the result they want. Because on Thursday, May 26th, 2022, the courts would find once more that Jose Gonzalez was not fit to stand trial. While Jose is incarcerated and seemingly won't be out anytime soon, if ever, it's still apparent that justice has not been served. However, New York City has not forgotten the life of Yadira Arroyo. On June 15th, 2018, Yadira Arroyo would have a street sign placed in her name. 169th Street and Boston Road in the Bronx shall also be known as Emergency Medical Technician Yadira Arroyo, Station 26. Furthermore, in March of 2019, an emergency call box would be placed in memory of Yadira Arroyo. The call box is located at the location where Yadira lost her life, on March the 16th, 2017. In May 2021, the schoolyard located at 1954 Watson Avenue in the Bronx was renamed FDNY EMT Yadira Arroyo Playground. Family members would gather along with FDNY employees to celebrate the life of Yadira in the park naming ceremony. Furthermore, legendary Bronx graffiti crews Tats and FX would dedicate a mural to Yadira Arroyo in the Soundview section of the Bronx. The mural makes note of Yadira's sacrifice and refers to her as the matriarch of Station 26. Up top, the words "Always be positive" are next to Arroyo's image. The mural will hopefully serve as a reminder to the youths in the neighborhood to have a positive outlook on life and never forget those that serve to protect the vulnerable citizens of New York City. In closing, this is still an ongoing case, and if any updates come about, I'll be sure to mention them on this channel. Thank you for watching, and please keep Yadira Arroyo's family, friends, and former co-workers in your prayers. May they one day find the justice they deserve.